this is mine. No, that's mine. Okay, so this is mine. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. You want to unmute soon.
What?
Unmute. Ask.
You can unmute. You're unmute now?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, we
Hello.
are. 128.
Yeah.
We just got me water.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom,
Shalom,
Temple
Temple
Shalom.
Shalom.
Welcome to our family RK Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Ilana, what's an RK?
That's a great question, Hannah. An RK is a rabbi's kid. You're the daughter of a rabbi, right?
Yeah, I am.
And I am too, which makes us RKs. By the way, Hannah, who are you?
My name is Hannah Lipaz, and I'm the daughter of Rabbi Ron Lipaz in Calabasas, California. I also teach 2nd and 3rd grade here at Temple Shalom and help run the preschool. I'm not going to ask who you are, though, because I'm pretty sure everyone knows. But what they might not know is that you also teach preschool, kindergarten, and 1st grade here.
Yes, I do.
Ilana, I was just thinking about how amazing it is that we're all here together right now.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Do you think we should sing a prayer about that?
I would like that.
I invite Teen Scene to come lead us in singing Hine Matov on page 128. Thanks, guys. You can return to your seats. Hannah, do you think the sun is set yet?
Yeah, I believe it has.
I think it might be time to light the candles. Would you like to invite your class up to do the candle blessings?
I would like that. 2nd and 3rd graders, please come up and lead us in the candle blessing. Ilana, please light the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, le'havlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, guys. You may be seated. Thank you guys very much. Great job. Please, everyone, join us on page 131 as we lead Yismechu, a psalm about rejoicing in God's realm, on page 96.
What was it? I take that entirely back. Page 131. 131.
I did? Oh, wow.
You did?
Oh, I added the, okay.
Ready? Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Betagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Betagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, ulo'a. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, ulo'a. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Betagel haaretz.
Please follow along and join me on page 132 as I sing Or Zarua, a song about sown light for the righteous and joyous. Or Zarua, la tzadik, u'yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua, la tzadik, u'yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua, la tzadik, u'yishrelev simcha. U'yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua, la tzadik, u'yishrelev simcha. Yishrelev simcha.
Please follow along on page 133 as I read Harayula Adonai aloud, a psalm about shouting to God in joy. Mizmor, Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash, Ki niflaot asa, Hoshia lo yeminu, Uzroa kodsho, Hodia Adonai, Yeshuato, Le'enei hagoyim gila tzidkato, Zachar chasdo ve'emunato, Leveit Yisrael, Ra'ul chol avsei aretz, et Yeshuot Eloheinu. Harayula Adonai kol haaretz, pitchu verananu vezameru.
Please join us in singing Romemu on page 135.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho.
Hannah, do you hear something?
Yeah, I do. Is that a wedding march? Is there a bride in the synagogue?
Not yet, but our next prayer will invite the Shabbat bride to welcome Shabbat. Please join us in singing Lecha Dodi on page 138.
Lecha, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu elam yuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'Shem u'letiferet li'la la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, Pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Please join us in our final psalm of this evening's service, Mizmor Shir, a psalm about singing a song for God for Shabbat on page 148. Are we wrong? 140? 140. Mizmor Shir le'yom haShabbat, tov le'odot la'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, le'hagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunacha ba'elyon, aleh azor ve'aleh hevel, aleh higayo lechinor, mizmor shir le'yom haShabbat, tov le'odot la'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon.
We'd like to invite Miss Ellie, our education director, to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish. Please follow along on page 144.
You can take it out if you need to.
Yikadav Yikadash Rabba Yama Divra Hirte Yamlik Mahute Bechaye Chodev Yom Echon Uchaye Dakol Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Ubizman Kariv Be'imeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olam Me'omaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yigromnam V'yinaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei D'Kedishach Rihu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiram Yama Be'imeru Amen.
Thank you, Miss Ellie. Ilana, I was thinking maybe it was time to really start our service.
You mean all that praying we did before didn't count?
No, of course it counted, but now we're going to start getting into some much more serious prayers. Starting with the Baruch Hu, or the call to prayer, found on page 146.
Will Hannah's second and third graders please come up and lead this prayer? Please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amevorach, Baruch Adonai, Amevorach, Amevorach, Le'olam Va'ed, Amevorach, Amevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Thank you, guys. Please be seated. Ilana, would you please read the Ma'ariv Aravim poem on page 148?
Yeah. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Hannah, What does ahava mean?
Love, right?
Yes. And olam?
World or eternal.
Yep. So ahava olam means eternal love. Please join us in singing this prayer about love on page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael ve'ahamcha Torah u'mitzvot psukim u'mishpatim otanu limadata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shofbeinu u'bekuneinu nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. I want to invite the kindergarten and first graders up to lead us in the Shema. This prayer is about listening to God. And I would like to invite the 6th and 7th graders to lead us in the Ve'ahavta, a prayer about loving God.
The Shema can be found on pages 152 and 153, and Ve'ahavta on page 154.
Come on up. You guys can return to your seats if you'd like. No, you stay. They have hot dogs on 154. Ready? Ready? Step closer to the mic, please. ראשיתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. Do you know the next part? Oh yeah. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי
אתכם לארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, kindergarten, first grade, and sixth and seventh grade for leading us in these prayers. This next prayer is a prayer about the Israelites being freed from Egypt by God.
Please join us in singing the Micha Milcha, a prayer sung by Moses and the Israelites while crossing the Red Sea on page 158.
Micha Milcha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Milcha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osef elech, Micha Milcha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Milcha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osef elech,
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Please join us in singing Ufros aleinu, found on page 160. Perhaps.
Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. The prayer of the Shamru explains why we keep Shabbat and the covenant we keep with God in keeping the Sabbath. Please join us in singing the Shamru on page 162. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וליום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Ilana, what does the word avot mean?
I believe it means fathers or ancestors. What does giverot mean?
Giverot means powers, as in praising God's power. So the avot and giverot praises God and the God of our ancestors for his power.
I would like to invite the 6th and 7th graders to come lead us in the avot. Please rise and turn to page 166 in your siddur.
can continue on page 168. Please remain standing.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומחיה אמונתו משני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומדום אליי. מלך למית ומחיה ומצליח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
You may return to your seats, 6th and 7th graders, you already did. Please continue with a silent prayer and feel free to stand or be seated when you desire. This week's Torah portion, Vayera, discusses the idea of opening our homes, or in Abraham's case, our tents, to guests. While sitting outside in the blazing sun, recovering from his Brit Milah, or circumcision, and waiting for people he could invite into his tent, Abraham looked up and saw 3 strangers walking towards him. He immediately went to greet them and invite them into the shade, where he and Sarah gave them water and food. The guests went on to inform Sarah and Abraham that despite being in their 80s and 90s, by this time next year, they would be greeted by a child, their first child. While this is not the full Torah portion, I want to talk about the idea of looking up. The Torah specifically states that Abraham looked up and saw the 3 guests. He looked up. His head lifted and he saw these 3 strangers and thought, oh, I must invite them into my home for water and wash their sore feet and make them a feast. Maybe it's possible that Abraham would not have seen the guests at all if he hadn't been looking up. Maybe they would have kept walking, exhausted, hungry, thirsty, and boiling hot because Abraham was looking the other way. But instead, Abraham, a man who was most definitely in pain after having a bris at 90 years old, was able to look up and give help to other people. This portion teaches us the importance of changing our perspective. Sometimes we need to look around or change our view in order to see what other people might need. People are not always straightforward or honest sometimes about what they might need. Sometimes maybe they're embarrassed or they're scared or they don't want to draw attention to whatever it is that they need. But by changing our view of them, by looking at them through different eyes, we may be able to see something we couldn't see before. If Abraham had looked the other way, or even just waved at the guests, they wouldn't have gotten the shade, food, or water that they needed. And Abraham wouldn't have gotten his son Isaac. By looking up, Abraham was able to see that the 3 strangers needed more than a friendly wave. He could see that they needed to be invited inside. Not only that, but Abraham teaches us a lesson that is almost more important than the other ones in this portion. He teaches us about the gift
of doing a good deed, despite being in pain. Abraham doesn't hesitate to help these strangers. Despite being in pain, doing a good thing or a mitzvah will never cause us to be in more pain. But it might help ease the pain of someone else. Let me repeat that. Doing a good thing will never cause us more pain, but it might ease the pain of others. So, by allowing our gaze to shift, or by looking in a different direction, we can further open ourselves up to the needs of others. We might not always be able to fulfill those needs, but allowing ourselves to be open to them is the first step in knowing if we can help. While this definitely applies to other people in our lives, it can also be true about ourselves. Introspection, or looking inward, is something that we're not all perfectly adept at doing. But by looking inside ourselves, we can get a sense of what is wrong, what is bothering us, or what we need to do to keep ourselves happy and healthy. A simple shift in our view of others and of ourselves can allow us to see new things. This portion also teaches us the importance of welcoming guests into our home or our lives, or hachnasat orchim, hospitality to guests. While in today's world, inviting strangers in might not always be the safe option, being hospitable and welcoming is always a good lesson to live by. There are many ways that we can be hospitable and gracious. We can do this with guests and strangers, we can do this with ourselves, and we can do it with God. By welcoming people or inviting guests into our home, we can share what we have and show how gracious we can be. By being gracious towards ourselves and accepting who we are and the traits that we have, we can be hospitable to ourselves. And finally, by allowing God to be a part of our life, we can be hospitable to God. So, to the students in the room, maybe you want to think about ways that you can be hospitable in your own homes or in your classrooms. Maybe you can invite someone new to play with you or to hang out. And parents, maybe you're thinking about that Shabbat dinner you keep saying you'll host that still hasn't happened, or the people that you should invite over. Maybe it's time to take a step towards hospitality. But on top of that, it's always important to remember to be hospitable and gracious to ourselves, because you can't uninvite yourself from your home. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us on page 137 for Misha Berach. Oh, my bad. Sorry, wrong page. Got it. Just kidding. Okay, go ahead.
Hannah and I would like to invite the kids from any grade who would like to lead us in Oseh Shalom to come up. Please turn to page 180 and join us.
Try not to crowd too much. Ready? All right, make sure to project if you're not near the microphone. Want to come around here? Oseh Shalom, Bimrama, Ruya Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimrama, Ruya Oseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Shalom Aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom b'Rama, Ruya Oseh Shalom Aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael,
guys. You may be seated. Harry, make sure to return to your seat. Don't get stuck up here. At this time, I would like to read a list of names of people who need healing. Yeshav Zaza, Carrie Schillinger, Betsy Ethel, Robert Oppenheim, Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Sylvia Chuk, Reuven Vensipora, Stephen Shiro, Chaim Mordechai Ben Shmuel Yisafar, Rosalind Weinberg, Irene Lambert, Moshe Ben Avraham, John Mitchell, Alan Davidson, Weiss family, Markinson family, Schwartz family, Arnold Simon, Aryeh Tzevi Ben Menachem Mendel Vichana, Nick Nicolatus, and Susan Mello.
And now please say any names you would like to include in our prayer for healing.
Please join us on page 137 for Nisha Vera. Oh, maybe not. Oh, 371. Dyslexia. Okay, 371. Misheberach Avotenu Bekor Abracha Leotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. The Aleinu talks about the idea that it is our duty to praise God. I would like to invite the 4th and 5th graders up to lead us in the Aleinu. Please rise and turn to page 586. Ready? 586. You are in the wrong books, I think.
Yeah.
Different book. You can all share.
Yeah, we were told to use this one.
Ready?
guys.
That's okay.
Okay.
Please be seated.
We would like to take this time to remember our loved ones, soldiers, first responders, and anyone else who has passed.
I will now read the names of those whose Yizkor it is. Betty Obermeyer, Lily Susser, Min Kaufman, Sylvia Weiss, Chester Supperstein, Joe Hill, Marvin Hadesman, Leonard Newman, Vincent Perlow, Fred Sonderman, Harris Bernstein, Ida Sack, Molly Schnitzer, Simon Asseline, Asher Wagner, Edward Neuger, Frank Dumont, Jordan Fogel, Mosek Kukier, Abraham Klein, Chester Superstein, Dorothy Blum, Jacob Rudnick, Martin Roslin, Arlene Fishman, Esther Franklin, Regina Gochberg, Richard Reikus, and Virginia Felding.
Please say any names of those who you would like to be remembered when we say the mourner's college. If you are in mourning or if it is your tradition, please stand and join us on page 189. 98.
That seems wrong.
That seems wrong. Page 598.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yurtei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmo Rabbah min shmaya. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal. Shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Please be seated.
We would like to invite Eden Defendini, our PTO president, to give some temple announcements.
Hello, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. First of all, thank you all for joining us this Shabbat for our service. If you are new or visiting Temple Shalom for the first time, Baruchim Habayim, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself. If it's your first time, we want to meet you, we want to welcome you, we want to make sure if you have questions that we answer them for you. So a big welcome. We want to thank you ladies, Ilana and Hannah, for a beautiful service. Very, very beautiful, and also just how wonderful it is to have all of our kids participating and stumbling around and everything. It reminds us what a blessing we have to have so many children. We also want to thank Ellie Hart, our education coordinator, and Lise Palerik. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing your name, Lise, but you're always here, and thank you so much for the technical support. There are many ways you can support our temple, so I'm just going to read some announcements and let you know about this stuff so that you can kind of keep it in your mind, especially as we get toward the seasons of giving. We have dues, contributions, and Kol Nidra pledges, which are our greatest source of financial support from our members. We also partner with businesses, so if you are doing shopping at King Soopers, Amazon Smile, Box Tops for Education, or Shutterfly, you can connect with us through those programs, and those large corporations will make donations to the temple. And of course, all this information would be in an email, or if you have questions or need help, we are all here for you. So I'm just going to announce a couple things that may be interesting, of interest to you. For one thing, we have our Beyond Borders History of the Arab-Israeli Conflict class, which is offered here at Temple Shalom. The starting date has been pushed out to Tuesday, November 2nd. So if you haven't signed up yet and you've been trying to think of a way to make time for this, you still have time to sign up through the Melton School. So you can go to templeshalom.com and there'll also be a button in your weekly email. It should be an amazing class in the evenings over Zoom, so it's really accessible. We also are saying to save the date, November 5th and 6th, to pick your service. Come to honor and welcome our new members. So that's really a great chance to bring people in and get to know our new friends. It says here that home is where the challah is, all right? It will also be November soon, and our congregational meeting will be taking place Sunday, November 7th. So you're invited, and you probably received the agenda emailed to you today. I know I did. I don't know if the PTO is in here, but the second Sunday of every month, right after when we send all the kids down after tefillah, we try to get together here. It's a pretty brief meeting for PTO. This year we're building the PTO from the ground up. We had actually a really successful year doing Hebrew school on Zoom, religious school on Zoom. At least in my house, the kids got really engaged, and it was a great way of kind of getting everybody together in a safe way. But now we're back in person. Everybody is masked up. There's a lot of safety protocols in place. There's no eating in the building. We're really keeping the kids healthy and safe. So we want to welcome you back to in-person classes, and we want you to know that the second Sunday of the month, right when the kids go, we're having PTO meeting in here. It doesn't take very long. The meetings that the topics we're mostly focused on this year is we kind of felt like we missed a year of cultural immersion for the kids, because even though we all did it at home, we missed things like this where we were all together. So thinking about holidays and ways that we can bring music, cultural food, experiences, things that will build memories for our kids so that they can grow up remembering their Jewish childhood too. So right now we're meeting to discuss the Hanukkah Fest, which we will email you guys all about, but please do come the second Sunday for a quick PTO meeting, and then we usually take a walk. So parents who are interested, we wear our sneakers and we walk. We take a beautiful walk. We enjoy this incredible neighborhood, and we kibitz. So we welcome you for that too. Rabbi Jay has some very great offerings coming up. He's got a series called They Never Taught Me That in Hebrew School, and if you know Rabbi Jay, you know it's awesome. So go to templeshalom.com. All of his classes are up. I know that he's in Azerbaijan right now, and he promised that he would come back with slides and lessons and talks for all of us. So please do stay tuned. So thanks, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to invite the 4th and 5th graders to lead us in the Adon Olam prayer on page 625, a hymn praising the eternal God. Hand motions are required.
Got it?
You do the fun version. If you need to put your books down, you can, but you have to know the prayer. Okay, ready?
Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, B'Tzir Nivra, V'Hed Nasa, V'Chesed Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'Acharei Kivot HaKol, V'Vadu Yimach Nora Adon Olam, V'Hu Hayach, V'Hu Holech, V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, Do-Do-Do, B'Tzir Nivra, Ding Dong, Yelek Nasa, V'Chesed Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'Hu Echad, V'Ein Sheni, V'Ha'amsil Leroch Hara Adon Olam, Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, B'Lo Ha'az V'Hamshira
Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, do-do-do, Yitzir Nivra, Ding Dong, V'yed Nasa, B'chef Sakol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Vehu Eli, Vehi Noli, B'tzur Chavi Beit Torah Adon Olam, Vehu Nisi, Umanosli, Menar Kosi B'yom Ekra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, do-do-do, Yitzir Nivra, Ding Dong, V'yed Nasa, B'chef Sakol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yada Ve'ikisham ve'ayimra Adon Olam, Ve'yimruchi Geviyati, Adonai V'Purira Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, do-do-do, Yitzir Nivra, V'yed Nasa, B'chef Sakol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You may be seated.
Before we do the Kiddush and Motzi, Hannah and I would like to thank all of the students for participating and attending tonight's service.
We would also like to thank Miss Ellie and Eden Defendini for your participation, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's service. Miss Ellie, can you please lead everyone outside to the preschool entrance for the Kiddush and the Motzi? Thank you.